morning, General. How are you? Very good. Good morning, General. Good morning, General. How are you? Good morning, General. How are you?
Our sitting in Kenya is based on our desire to bring the assembly to the peoples of Kenya. This is provided under Article 55 of the EAC Treaty, that the assembly should have sittings in the partner states. We are therefore grateful to the leadership of the Republic of Kenya for graciously accepting to host us. Special thanks are also conveyed to the Right Honorable Moses Wetangula, the Speaker of the Kenya National Assembly, and the Right Honorable Jeffer Amason King, the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya, for according us very excellent facilities. Your Excellency, our forefathers supported the idea of rotational sittings because it enhances the visibility of the East African community, it increases public awareness, participation of people in the integration process. It also serves as an opportunity to enhance cooperation with the national assemblies of the partner states in line with the requirements of Article 65 of the treaty. It also provides an opportunity for head of states to speak to East Africans of the region for a united and prosperous EAC. As EALA, we shall also tap into your wisdom on integration. Your Excellency, during our sittings, we shall consider 5 bills, 8 committee oversight reports, 9 questions to the Council of Ministers, 3 petitions from the EAC citizens, 6 motions for resolutions of the Assembly, and a report to amend the EALA Rules of Procedure. We shall also engage in joint activities with our brothers and sisters of Parliament of Kenya in order to foster deep cooperation amongst our institutions. We shall also embark on outreach and sensitization of the people of Kenya, particularly through the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association, the Parliamentary Youth Caucus, and interface with Kenyan traders on cross-border trade. Members will also grace the International Women's Day celebrations in Embu County, while some will visit the Maasai community in Narok County. Honorable Sankok, you invited us. Your Excellency, before I conclude, allow me in a special way to thank you in person and the Parliament of Kenya, as well as the ministry responsible for EAC affairs, for being the lead partner state in completing her subscription to EAC by 100% and in a timely manner. Your Excellency, our sittings in Nairobi will run from 4th to 20th March 2024 at the Parliament of Kenya. We are indeed honored to have you amidst us, even your busy schedule. I welcome you to this special sitting, and your presence here today exemplifies the deep commitment you hold to the East African community. Thank you. Thank you for positively responding to our invitation. Your Excellency, as you may know, the term of this Assembly, which is the 5th Assembly, commenced on 19th December 2022. On that occasion, we were joined for the very first time by our colleagues from the DRC. Very soon, we shall have members from Somalia. Allow me to thank the summit for the vision of an expanded EAC. With Somalia on board, the bloc now has 8 members. All in all, I have a very good team of MPs of the IALA of the 5th Assembly, and I'm particularly blessed that the Kenya sent to IALA a very seasoned, knowledgeable, and hard-working team. I also wish to commend you for your able and visionary leadership, which has enhanced the visibility and the development of Kenya. Under your leadership, we note the positive and close working relations you have had with the leadership of both houses of Kenya Parliament and to us, and this explains the progress you have as a country. On matters of peace, security, and unity, you have done very well by championing homegrown solutions to issues that affect our partner states and the region. For example, we all saw you recently with the Honorable Raila Odinga working side by side with President Museveni, engrossed in deep discussions on how to advance regional peace, enhance freedoms for Kenyans, and work for the common good of our peoples. It is only through such that the pursuit of homegrown solutions, even to the DRC crisis, will make our region an invite to all and will spur development. This serves to portray the EAC mechanism for conflict resolution in high esteem. I want to further thank you for the lead you are taking in promoting world peace by taking the mantle of stabilizing countries that are facing insecurity. It is a good move, but not all the external forces may be happy about it because you have rightly challenged the inaction. You can, however, count on EALA, the EAC, and Africa at large for support since these efforts renew your commitment to ensuring peace and security for Kenya, the region, Africa, and beyond. On your calls from reforms of the international financial institutions such as IMF and the World Bank, we are proud to be associated with you with your bold statements calling for reforms to ensure fairness, inclusivity, equity, and equal opportunities for developing nations like those in our region, who continue to be impoverished and marginalized by the developed world through these institutions. The cycle they put us in should end so that we can generate international resources to spur growth on local industries, infrastructure, and economically empower our citizens. We in EALA, we have already adopted resolutions on promoting use of local currencies instead of the US dollar to pay for services, resolution to promote local leather industries by banning unprocessed hides, among others. We also associate ourselves with your stand on reforming global action on climate change and the environment and the leadership you continue to give during global summits. As has been noted, in many quarters, your words of wisdom have often been inspirational.
The EAC e-passport is now internationally recognized, while several member states now permit citizens to travel using the national identity cards. Visa fees for cross-border movements have mostly been eliminated, and cross-border communities now enjoy free movement. Students can enroll and transfer with greater ease. Regional institutions now implement mutual recognition agreements for various professional qualifications. The Assembly should facilitate the convergence of criteria for macroeconomic governance and provide for the harmonization of both fiscal and monetary policies. The fourth pillar of East African integration, the political federation, depends on effective cooperation in the fields of political affairs, regional peace and security, as well as defense cooperation. The transitional model for our federation is already in place in the form of the East African Political Confederation, under which we have been able to deploy the East African Community Regional Force, for example, to restore peace and security in Eastern DRC, while other achievements under the transitional model include the Chief Justice's Forum to strengthen the rule of law, enhance access to justice, and facilitate the evolution of a distinct East African jurisprudence. Similarly, the other platforms have been established to enable progressive engagement between national institutions through the exchange of information, skills, and capacity, and developing common regional standards in such diverse fields as good governance, election management, and human rights institutions, and institutions that govern anti-corruption. We now have in place protocols on defense, as well as peace and security, together with the EAC Mutual Defense Pact, the EAC Early Warning Mechanism, Protocol on Combating Illegal Drug Trafficking, and EAC Interreligious Council, and a framework for conducting public participation on the establishment of the political federation, which has already been concluded in Kenya, in Uganda, and in Burundi. And we already made a decision last year in Arusha that that process must be concluded in the other remaining states by June this year, so that we can have a way forward. And I want to tell you, when this exercise was conducted in Kenya, it received overwhelming endorsement by the people of Kenya. Our common agenda, therefore, is to set out optimal policies and strategies which unite us firmly in the singular pursuit of positive transformation in the political and economic, social and cultural, research and development, as well as technology and innovation, including defense and security, and also the legal and judicial sectors of our society. It is fair to say that much of our efforts cannot proceed, let alone succeed, without the loyal contribution and hard work of our community's legislative organs. This organ of IALA, as well as the respective parliaments. This assembly accentuates the direct linkage between common regional and specific intra-member state policies by performing the vital and simultaneous functions of embedding regional integration agenda at the heart of domestic policymaking, while also ensuring that the EAC represents, articulates, and projects the interests of member states as well as the entire collectivity of our community. Our customs union is on the move, with this assembly creating legislative frameworks to establish a common external tariff, uniform customs rules and procedures, and common rules of origin. And I want to congratulate members here for being patriotic to EAC and making sure these instruments are in place. These frameworks also provide for the elimination of non-tariff barriers and the implementation of a single customs territory, one-stop border posts, as well as the facilitation of the development of regional and national trade information portals. For example, in a couple of weeks, President Museveni and I will be launching the one-stop border post in Swam, a border between Kenya and Uganda, complete with a road connecting both countries that was sourced by funding that was collectively undertaken by the government of Kenya and the government of Uganda. Similarly, the Assembly has provided the framework to conclude the COMESA EAC SADC Tripartite Free Trade Area Agreement. The signing of the agreement establishes the African Continental Free Trade Area also, and the adoption of the EAC e-commerce strategy. As you are aware, the bringing together of the tripartite agreement will bring 27 countries into one common market with a GDP of approximately $750 billion. That will make it possible for East Africa, parts of North Africa, and the whole of South Africa to trade together and to eliminate trade barriers that consistently stand in the way in our quest to enhance and expand business, trade, enterprise in our region. Our people's journey to a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and politically united East Africa entails the implementation of policies and establishment of institutions under the four well-known pillars of our integration, namely a customs union, a common market, monetary union, and a political federation. The instruments and frameworks needed to bring into operation our semi-autonomous institutions, delineate our areas of cooperation, and attend to the pillars of integration are promulgated under the exclusive mandate of this Assembly, which has demonstrated exemplary dedication to its legislative function, consensus deference to important lessons from the history of our regional integration efforts, and a vigilant commitment to deliver a robust architecture for the successful delivery of an ambitious program of action for our community. By dint of a consistent drive to implement our collective vision for integration, this Assembly has enabled us to overcome the shortcomings which rendered the first East Africa community so vulnerable that it ultimately collapsed, and to make significant progress on each pillar of integration, thereby making EAC a resilient, dynamic, progressive region on the threshold of historic transformation. The work that this Assembly does matters to us as governments and matters to the people of East Africa. We must therefore remain focused on what is at stake, committed to complete the outstanding work, and determined to do our very best at all times when called upon to serve the people of our region. Peace, stability, and security must remain our foremost concern because they are the foundations that underlie all pursuit of growth, development, and prosperity. A peaceful, stable, and secure East Africa is a competitive and prosperous East Africa. As we work and as we continue to work on such challenges to the growth of trade and investment, as persistent on non-tariff barriers, distracting and costly trade disputes, conflicting tax regimes, weak enforcement, and inadequate resources, we must also take seriously the fundamental shortcomings to our agenda that is low involvement of the private sector, even as we prepare to get and stay on top of emerging threats in the digital space as well as climate change. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, how are you? Very good. Bwana Speaker, hujambo? Mr. Salama? Leader, how are you? Very good. Habari yako mheshimiwa? Very good. Very good. Waziri, how are you? SG, how are you? Very good. How are you, Mr. Speaker? Very good. Mr. Clark, how are you? Thank you very much. Habari? Mr. Salama? Nairobi, how are you? Very good. Yes, Habari? Very good. Yes, how are you? Very good. The work of intensifying the integration of East African community has proceeded at an encouraging pace so that while much remains to be done for us to accomplish our aspiration, the progress we have made has taken us closer to it incrementally. It is no overstatement to acknowledge the contribution of this Assembly towards making this progress possible. At the beginning of this session, it is appropriate to reaffirm our collective devotion to the constitutive aspirations of our community and therefore the objectives of East African regional integration. There is no denying that our vision to be a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and politically united East Africa is taking shape at a higher rate than before. The ultimate aim of this noble enterprise is to transform and translate economic, political, and social, as well as cultural integration into a positive impact on the well-being of every citizen of East Africa. To actualize the East African Monetary Union by 2031, because that's our aspiration, this assembly must provide the necessary framework to anchor the full implementation of the customs union and common market protocols, especially through the establishment of vital organizations such as the Monetary Institute, Bureau of Statistics, Financial Services, as well as the Surveillance and Enforcement Commissions. I know this is already in your radar, and it is our hope, as members of the summit, that you will discharge your responsibility of making sure these instruments are in place to facilitate the greater integration of our union.